degrees by polytechnics would end the current dichotomy. According to him, the Nigerian polytechnic system has all it takes in terms of infrastructure and human capital to award bachelor, master's and doctorate degrees in the area of technology. Nigeria's Senate has confirmed 13 out of the 15 members of the Niger Delta Development Commission, that is the NDDC, while 2 nominees were rejected for failing to appear before the Senate Screening Committee. The 2 nominees whose appointments were rejected are Pius Odudu, who hails from Edo State and was nominated to represent the South-South region, and his counterpart, Anthony Okanne from Imo State, who was nominated to represent the Southeast region. Among the 13 nominees whose appointments were confirmed include the chairman, Loretta Onochie, from Delta State, while the managing director is Chief Samuel Obuku, who hails from Delta State. Chairman, Niger Delta Affairs, Bulus Kilawangs, urged the new members to be patriotic in the discharge of their duties. Other lawmakers, however, opposed the confirmation of Onochie. Meanwhile, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan,
the committee wishes to recommend for confirmation the nomination of the following as chairman and members of the governing board of Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Loretta Ifeanyi Onochie as chairman, governing board of NDDC. Accordingly, the committee stepped down the screening of the 2 nominees for reason of non-appearance before the committee.
Other lawmakers, however, opposed the confirmation of Onochie.
What the law says is that the nominees should come from oil-producing areas. But that anyhow you interpret it, it cannot go outside community, it cannot go outside a local government, and it should, in my view, not go outside the senatorial district.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, urged the federal government to submit to the Senate the report of the forensic audit conducted on the NDDC following the management crisis that rocked the institution. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, that is INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, has stressed the discouragement of vote buying by politicians. Yakubu disclosed this during a meeting with transporters in Abuja.
The negative role of money in elections goes to the very heart of our democracy. It destroys the very basis of democratic elections, which is that citizens should freely choose those who exercise power on their behalf. It renders the emergence of the right candidates for positions extremely difficult, undermines fair electoral.
The chairman also stated that the commission will need over 100,000 vehicles and about 4,200 boats will be needed to convey personnel and sensitive materials to the various polling units in the 2023 general elections. This is as he assured Nigerians of the timely arrival of materials and personnel on election days. The Shagamu Unit Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps, that is FRSC, in Ogun State has said it would establish a mobile court to try errant drivers during the festive period today. Unit Commander of FRSC Shagamu, Taufik Yanda, stated this in an interview with newsmen in Shagamu in Ogun State. This, he said, would serve as a deterrent to road users who intend to flout traffic rules and regulations during the Yuletide. The unit's commander added that motorists should ensure that their vehicles were properly serviced, especially for long trips, to prevent unnecessary breakdowns on the roads. He further warned against reckless driving, wrongful overtaking, and drunk driving to minimize accidents during the festive season. When we return, news from other parts of West Africa. Stay with us. And on to other parts of West Africa, Senegal's interior minister has received his French counterpart in Dakar, where the both discussed bilateral issues on immigration and student visas. French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said on Tuesday in Dakar, in the presence of his Senegalese counterpart, that he wanted to cut short the rumor of intense drug trafficking between the two countries. His Senegalese colleague Antoine Felix Abdoulaye Diome spoke of a really marginal issue and spoke out against the clutches conveyed on the part taken by his compatriots in drug trafficking, especially crack in Paris. Diome estimated that there are 250,000 Senegalese, including those with dual nationality, living permanently in France and 35,000 French in Senegal. He promised within a few weeks a return to normal visa issues times in Senegal, with the objective of bringing regular immigration to France back to pre-pandemic levels. Still news from West Africa. News has it that a parliamentary committee in the Gambia has recommended prosecution of the Indian manufacturer of cough syrups suspected of causing the death of at least 70 children in the country. Reports show that the committee resolved that Maiden Pharmaceuticals is culpable and should be held accountable for exporting the contaminated medicines, although the pharmaceuticals company denied the allegations. Responding to the allegation, government labs in India said their test on the syrups found they were complying with specifications. An Indian official last week said the World Health Organization, that is the WHO, was presumptuous in blaming the syrups. However, the country's medicine control agency have been mandated to ensure all medicines imported into the country are properly registered and background checks conducted on manufacturers, including visiting their facilities. It will be recalled that the WHO had issued an alert in October advising regulators to stop the sale of the syrups. We move to other parts of Africa after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now to news from other parts of Africa. The United Nations, that is the UN Security Council, has adopted a resolution relaxing the embargo on arms exports to the Democratic Republic of Congo, a decision held by Kinshasa as an injustice repaired on Tuesday. The resolution removes language that previously required countries to inform the Security Council and its 5 members of any sale of arms or military assistance to the DRC Congo. The DRC has been under a UN arms embargo. State and diaspora remittances have converged in Abuja for a 2-day regional consultative meeting to leverage on remittances development in Africa. The meeting, coordinated by the Africa Institute for Remittances, that is the AIR, in collaboration with Nigeria's in Diaspora Commission, that is NIDCOM, is with the theme The Role of Regional Economic Committees, that is RECs, fintechs and remittance service providers, RSPs, on promoting integrated regional approach. Speaking at the opening, the chairman, CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Committee, calling for the article of shame to be removed, referring to Article 230 of the Penal Code, which punishes homosexual acts by both men and women in a prison sentence. Up next is business news on Africa Today. Stay with us. An advisory to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, all governors and local government council chairmen to direct all public servants to open domiciliary and Naira accounts ahead of the commencement of the policy, which becomes compulsory by law. According to DICO, Tukur also noted that governors and council chairmen will need to organize training for market men and women on how to use ATM and POS services, while refuting report January 2023. The board of the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, has approved the release of $447.39 million to Kenya. The fund announced the decision on Tuesday. According to reports, efforts towards fiscal consolidation had caused Kenya's public debt to level off while giving extra money under an existing facility. According to the IMF, Kenya would now receive a total of $2.416 billion from the present agreement. The increase was agreed upon by both parties last month to cover expenses for external finance due to the drought and difficult global financial conditions. President William Ruto, who took office in September, intends to eliminate costly commercial borrowing in favor of less expensive sources like the World Bank to lessen the burden that debt servicing puts on revenue. Still to come is sports news. Stay with us.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sport News in Africa today. I am Richard Badung. Federal government has fulfilled its 28-year-old promise by handing over keys to a 3-bedroom bungalow each to 3 1994 Super Eagles players and others. And Finidi George, while Akia Moho, who served as a team doctor and a beneficiary of the National Housing Project, Adiwale Adesokon, also received their keys respectively. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Rajafashola, who presented the keys to them at the project site Onidundu in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State, said the beneficiaries are among the first set of Nigerians, including 1994 Super Eagles, who would be handed keys to their houses that was promised by the federal government over 28 years ago. Will be sent to the Nigeria Olympic Committee in March 2023. Taking to other matters in the world of sports, tens of thousands of Moroccans thronged the capital to welcome home their national football team, the first Arab or African squad ever to reach the semi-final of a World Cup on Tuesday. The team and coach Walid Regragui waved from an open accompanied by dozens of police cars and motorbikes with flashing lights and wailing sirens. Many supporters clad in the team's kits and waving red flags had waited hours. Morocco finished top of a group including Croatia and Belgium, and also Canada also came third at the undefeated Croatia, who came third at the played Croatia, who came third at this year's event before knocking out Spain and Portugal. And that's your sport news on Africa Today. Back to Ainan Lubem for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badung.
Thank you, Richard, for the sport updates. And now to the rest of the news. Of the Nigerian Medical Association, that is the NMA, Ogun State Chapter, Kunle Ashimi,